A very good morning to everybody, and thank you for joining us for this arrival press conference with Proteas coach Mark Boucher. Boucher, I'm going to ask if you could please put on your video function so that we can all see you, and then we'll get started. While we're waiting, just a reminder, please, everyone, to put your request to ask a question on the chat panel, and to always keep it to one question at a time. Pila, please type your request to ask a question. Please don't raise your hand. And then we'll take it from there. But seeing as Pila did raise his hand, he can go first. We'll be followed by Nathan and then Telford.
Thanks, Buckle. Sorry about that. Hi, Mark. Just wanted to find out, there's 5 T20 internationals left until the T20 World Cup in Australia later this year. How would you assess the progress made so far, particularly in the India series? And of course, it's unfortunate for it not to be concluded in the way that everybody probably expected it to go the 5 matches. But what is your assessment of the team's progress, particularly with a couple of key options and combinations going forward into the last 5 T20 internationals and heading into the World Cup?
Firstly, there's more than 5. There's, my knowledge is right, 10 games, and that's including some warm-up games as well. So there's quite a few more than 5 left. Yeah, look, I think if we have a look at this series as a whole, it's not played in the same conditions as what we're going to get in Australia. I think that there's certain levels of confidence that you can take from all these sort of series. But if we have a look at our team and the makeup of our team, it would probably be a little bit different going into a World Cup, especially in completely different conditions. So yeah, I think there's a bit of confidence that you can take from it. We tried out 1 or 2 things. I suppose we asked a few questions, and I think we got a couple of answers about possibilities that we can have going forward. But I guess once we start playing in conditions that are probably going to be a little bit more similar to Australia, then we can start to really sort of delve into different tactics and all that type of stuff as well. We, as coaches, we've certainly started thinking along those lines. But the players, at the moment, they're playing each series as it comes, and we'll make adjustments according to the conditions that will suit the World Cup.
Good day. Good day. Thank you, Sporazi. Good day, Mark. With your upcoming series with England and Ireland, should we expect any changes to the original squads? There are guys like Riley Rousseau who have been performing, or even a Devil Brevis, perhaps, especially in the lead up to the World T20s.
I think the best position we're in is quite a good one. We've got quite a lot of depth to choose from. You say you've got these players, and their names have certainly come up in selection meetings. I think I'll leave Victor to answer those questions on selection. That's his job. But certainly I think that it's good when different names start coming up. It shows a bit of depth in our system, which is always good for players. And yeah, those names will certainly come into the mix. I think it's just important as well is that you want to have a bit of continuity going into a World Cup. I think that showed how valuable it was the previous World Cup. So a little bit of continuity, and also unfortunately, there's only 11 cricketers in the team, and you've mentioned batters there, and there's only hopefully 6 batters that can play in a game. So in order to give opportunity, you got to leave 1 or 2 guys out, and that's the key on how to try to balance that and keep the continuity within the squad.
Alfred?
Thanks, Bukazi. How's it, Butch, and welcome home. How big a concern is Temba's T20 strike rate, and what can be done to improve that?
So yeah, look, Temba struggled on the tour. There's no doubt. But I think as coaches, we sit down and we say, okay, well, why did he struggle? So first of all, he really struggled against one bowler, and that was Kumar. And most of the guys struggled against him as well. So let's give him credit where it's due. I think Kumar's a fantastic bowler, especially in those conditions. We look at the conditions that we played in. There were times where the ball was swinging a lot, which makes him very, very dangerous. Also, the ball's up and down quite a bit, especially with the new ball. So, you know, we've sort of looked at it as coaches and say, how do we have a look at that particular bowler, and how do we give him more options? So we've spoken about it. It's quite difficult for him to change up during a series where you basically travel, play. He hasn't played a lot of cricket as well. So to come into a series, T20, opening the batting, you've got to get on with it, you know, from the get-go. It was always going to be quite tough for them, especially against Kumar. Against other bowlers, his strike rates are fine. There's no issue there. So, yeah, there's no major concern from our side. You know, he'll know that he wants to score better and quicker. I think if you look at the teams around the world, there's maybe one or two players in even your top sides that there's space for a guy who is more of a, I wouldn't say nudger nerdler. There's no space for a nudger nerdler in today's cricket, but certainly a guy who's sort of is a stabilizer in innings. And I think we sort of see him in that mold. His stats outside the power play are very good. You know, he's got his way and means of playing the game, and he picks up boundaries in different ways to say a Rassie van Dussen and an Aiden Markenwood. So, you know, it's just the one little period of play and against one particular bowler that we need to work on. But we've got a plan with regards to that. And I've got no doubt Temba loves being challenged. You know, we challenged him in the test match arena, and look how he's come through. So, you know, we challenged him in this sort of way. He wants to work on his game. He wants to improve. And I've got no doubt that given a bit of time, that we can get onto a bowling machine and work on a couple of things, I've got no doubt that he'll come through. He's a tough little cricketer. He's a tough captain, and certainly someone that we do need in our team. So yeah, as coaches, we're going to be working extra hard to get him right against that particular bowling style.
Leighton, and then Ken and Fido.
Hello, Mark. I've got two parts to this question. It's about the batting and bowling. Just in terms of shaking up the batting order, are you satisfied with how things went? It worked in a couple of the games, other games not. And then you persisted with the two spinners. Is that looking ahead towards the conditions that you are going to get overseas and just giving them game time, or what prompted that decision?
So no, the batting lineup is not what we wanted. Unfortunately, we lost Aiden before the first game. So that is quite a difficult or a big blow to us, especially the form that he's been in. And, you know, I think he's rated second in the world in T20 cricket. So you're always going to struggle if you lose a player like that. So we had to just mix and match a bit, hence getting Dwayne up into the top order to try lengthen our low order a bit. You know, ideally, I don't want to go into any game with 5 batters. I'd like to play 6 batters. But when Aiden was left out of the squad or through illness, and that we lost our 6th bowling option as well, which you know, we played in the World Cup. We played our 6 batters, and Aiden was our 6th bowling option, and it proved the right way to go about it. We didn't have a similar sort of player in the setup in the squad in India to be able to do that. So that's why we moved it around a bit. We also saw the opportunity to maybe try one or two things, especially with Dwayne batting up the order. It's not like he's never done it before. He did it well for Paul Rocks, so we knew that he could do it. And you know, he showed in the first game that he really came off. I think they sort of maybe learned how to bowl to him after that, but it would never be in a situation where we go out and we say that Dwayne's going to consistently be our number 3 batter. It's more just let's trial it out and see if maybe in one game it's possible going forward in the future. And yeah, I think we've got a few of the answers there. So your second question?
Just on the 2 spinners, you persisted with them?
So if you have a look at our style of play that we've played in and that's been successful in the subcontinent, it has been with our 2 spinners. So yeah, we did give them that sort of responsibility. I think if you look at the first couple of games, they really went after them and targeted them. We felt that we had the 6 bowlers, and then the conditions sort of changed as well as we went to sort of games 3, 4, where there was maybe a thought of leaving a spinner out, but having a look at the conditions, and we got it right. I think the conditions were good. They turned for the spinners. You know, unfortunately, they went after them, and I think we probably got 1 or 2 balls wrong where it travelled, 1 or 2 drop catches here and there, which could have changed things up a bit as well. But that is certainly the way that the Indian team wanted to try and beat us, and that was to take our spinners on. But we felt that we had enough cover, and we felt that we really needed that 6 bowling option there as well. So, the last game we went in without Shamma, which was a big call to make. He's been our best bowler for quite some time now, especially in those conditions. But there's a lot of rain around as well. Small field in Bangalore. My knowledge of playing in Bangalore, I played quite a few games there. The ball didn't really turn a lot. So Kesh played, and obviously captain as well. And they went after him in the first over as well. So yeah, it's always tough. I mean, you go to India, you go to subcontinent, and you want to back your spinners to do a job. I think they were quite gutsy in the way that they went about things, and it obviously came off for them.
Hi, Mark. Thanks, Sips. Hi, Mark. Just on the spinners as well, you mentioned the small fields in India, and obviously India being very aggressive. How much of a factor was it also that neither of them played IPL, so they're also probably a bit rusty? And do you think bigger fields in Australia will bring the spinners into the contest even more?
Yeah, look, I think maybe being a bit rusty was one thing you can talk about. India plays spin really well. They've got their own way of playing it. We played them in albeit in one-day cricket in South Africa in conditions that really turned, and our spinners dominated. So we were almost like, this is the way to go about things. They've obviously got a bit of a different pattern that they like to play, especially to spin in T20s. So yeah, there's more of us backing our spin to do a role that they have done over the last sort of year, and that's one of the main reasons why we've got the positive results as well. So we backed them, and we weren't scared to pull one of them out, but the conditions just said this, it's going to turn. And I think if you look at their spinners, the way that they went about things, they really did come into their own in games 3 and games 4. I think we didn't have the opportunity to put their spinners under pressure because of the power plays that we had. So the starts were not ideal. If we had taken wickets in the power plays, and hopefully our spinners, landed their balls in the area, it might have been a little bit different. But that's a lot of ifs and buts. Going to Australia, yes, the fields are big. If you have a look at the Big Bash and the records of the Big Bash, there's quite a few grounds where spinners play a major role. So yes, certainly we are looking at that. We're looking at each venue, differently. I think there's certain grounds that will be very good for maybe playing 2 spinners. There's certain grounds that maybe won't suit that. But the bigger grounds is something that can really benefit spinners as well. So we've got the options now. We've got good depth in our side with regards to all different aspects, whether it be fast bowling, seam bowling, and spin as well. So it's just about getting the right balance going into Australia, and also not taking too much out of all these other series because the conditions are going to be very different.
Our last group of questions is Fidos Smoo, and then we'll close with Craig. Thanks, Nathan, for your note on the side.
Hi, Mark. Mark, can I just ask you a little bit about strike rates? I mean, with reference to Temba, but also to bigger fields, which you've alluded to. I mean, there's a lot of numbers around like 140, 150, 160 being the kind of strike rate that people want to be looking at. Is that important to you, or what do you think? Should there be a number, or just how are you judging it?
I think there should be a number. As a player, you probably want to set yourself a goal. I think people sometimes they look at that in its entirety and they go, yeah, you need to strike more. But, how do you get to striking that? Is it just giving a player one more option to score? I mean, how do you set yourself up? And I think the difference is, we've had conversations about your first 10 balls that you face. What's your goal of facing 10 balls? Is it 10 of 10 or is it 14 of 10? And straight away, it's one boundary extra that you're looking at, and 14 in 10 is going at 140. So the margins are not as big as what people actually think that they are. It's maybe just another scoring option. There's certain conditions where you've just got to be smart and play it how you see it. Whether you're chasing a high total, whether you're chasing a low total, all those things can come into play. But I think it's just giving players the different options that they need. We did it, last year with regards to scoring all around the wickets. You would have seen reverse sweeps come in. Guys who have never lapped before, they've got the lap option now, the reverse laps as well. So yeah, I think if you give batters, 1 or 2 more options just to try to take their strike rates a little bit higher than what they've probably got at the moment. It's challenging players, and it's also pushing them to become the best in the world. I think it's very necessary for players to buy into that as well. I think it's also mindset as well. Some guys are not used to going out there and taking a risk in their first 6 balls. I think we probably got undone in the third game of that, where our intent wasn't probably where it should have been. So it's a little bit of everything. But as I said, if you look at it in its entirety, you might think it's near impossible for a guy to get to a strike rate of 140 if he's at 120. But it could just be merely just adding another shot to his whole repertoire that could change that.
Hi, Mark. Sbu here, Sport 24. I just wanted to find out what's the latest with Captain Temba's injury. Will he make it in time for your tour to the UK? And for that tour to the UK, for the second part of my question, what is the game plan now? You got a few weeks. What is the focal point until you actually travel to the Northern Hemisphere?
September's getting a scan today. If I think I'm correct, Seeps, you might be able to tell them about that. So until he's scanned, we're not too sure. We were really worried after the actual injury because he couldn't bend his arm at all. But the next morning, he was able to bend it. So that was some good news. But we wanted to wait till he got back to South Africa to do the scan. So he'll be doing a scan. I'm sure we'll get some feedback later from our medical team. What are we doing now until the 8th of July? We've got some medical tests that we do on all the players just before they leave. I think it's a little bit of a mixture of taking a bit of a break. A couple of the guys have been playing in the IPL. They haven't been home for ages. So I think the first week could just be a lot of rest and relaxation, and then the guys will probably get into their work after that. For me, it's more the mental side. We're going into a long tour now and going to be on the road for a long period of time. So this bit of time with the families, I think, is very necessary just to get away from the game of cricket for, albeit a short time, but just to have a bit of a mental rest. And then I'm sure our fitness trainers will be onto the guys and telling them to get their loads up so that they're already in England. We have got quite a bit of time in England to adjust to the conditions. Thankfully, we're able to move past the COVID times now, and we're able to have 1 or 2 games against opposition before our one-day internationals and our T20 start. So I think that will be very useful and a step in the right way to getting back to the old times again.
How about Craig Ray? You sort of answered this to Firdousa's question in a way, but how much, we've spoken a lot about technical stuff, how much is a mindset and a mental approach to T20 a factor as opposed to maybe other versions of the game? Because it seems like you've really got to get into the mind frame of being aggressive. And is that a difficult thing to change in some cases?
Yeah, I'd almost go 80-20. So, you need to have the technical know-how on how to play a shot and have an option. I think your mindset's got to be like, well, I've got to try and move my strike rate up a bit. So, I've got to be open to that. And once you get the confidence of maybe adding that extra shot to your batting, or extra ball to your bowling, it works in both departments. I think it's having the mindset to go out there and really trust it. As a coaching team and as our philosophy sits, we want to be smart. You don't want to just go out there and play maverick cricket. I think it's been smart. I think we've done really well with regards to that as well. And we have conversations after every game on how we can get better, not only from a technical, but from a mindset position as well. So I just think in the one game, we maybe slipped up a bit where we went out and almost, didn't want to pull the trigger and put their bowlers under pressure. And I think that's where we did have a meeting about it and we spoke about it. The next game, we sort of went out there in game 4, we knew what we had to do. We had to chase 170. They probably had about 30 runs too many in that second game. And the wicket was a bit up and down. So I think the chat was more about let's go out playing our new way rather than going back to our default selves that we maybe were guilty of a year or so ago. So it was just one game that the guys really just needed to have a chat amongst themselves and say, listen, let's commit to the new philosophy. So I've got no doubt that going forward, we'll learn from that one little mistake that we maybe made and get into the right mindset going forward. I mean, ultimately, you're not going to win World Cups with a mindset where you're tentative. You've got to go out there and play. And I think there's been other teams in the world that India showed us as well, the way that they play. England, the way that they play. That's really the way forward going, especially in the short division of the game.
Thanks.
And finally, Ken.
Thanks, Sips. Mark, you mentioned those extra T20s over and above the 5 that are on the schedule. Can you tell us what those are?
Well, they are in India. So, and also I'm counting the games, the warm-up games in Australia. So I think that's probably where you get your best information, is when you're going to go out there and actually play with the squad. We also got to understand, guys, that there is a World Cup squad coming up now, and some of the players are obviously concerned whether they're going to be in that squad. I mean, it's always tough times for players just before the announcement of a World Cup team, and that's no differently for this one as well. So I think once you get your squad together, and you have the sooner the better that you have that squad together, then the guys can go out there and just really buy into the way that you want to play. So that World Cup, those World Cup games that we do go and play, that's invaluable knowledge that we'll pick up there, because everyone will feel comfortable, they'll understand what their roles are, and then you can really get settled with your starting 11.
Thank you very much, Mark. You can log off.
Okay. Cheers, Sips, for good, eh?
Cheers.
Thanks, Mark.
And I just wanted to have a brief moment with everybody. I know that some of you have heard the news already. I have received a really incredible opportunity with the ICC to join them in Dubai. So I'll be moving to Dubai on the first week of July. I finished with Cricket South Africa on the 1st of July as well. So I will be leaving the team. Well, that was my last tour, the India tour. But I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for just being such an incredible group. I grew up with most of you, and knowing you guys since my internship days, and it's been amazing. So before I start crying, which I already am, I just wanted to say thank you guys, and I'm gonna miss you, but I can't wait to work with you on the other side with the ICC. Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, Sipakazi. Well done.
Best of luck.
We're going to miss you too, Sipakazi.
Hold on,
All
Sipakazi.
the best.
Thank you so much, guys. You
Congratulations,
guys are family, and you're home away from home. You will always have my backing and anything that you need. Even if it's about SA cricket, I'm always here for you. So please don't hesitate to call me. And if you're ever in Dubai, please don't not text me. I need to know when people are in the same city so that I'll be able to catch up with you. But I'll see you at all the World Cups, and I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see you guys in real life now, and to catch up. So have a great one today.
Put me in a suitcase. I wasn't too bad.
I have a JD, so I can only fit one person.
Thanks.
Take care, Sips. Congratulations.
Yeah, well done. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.
You too.